Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Today it is going to be episode 2 of the self-published fantasy blog off vlog. I need a better title for that. I'm going to link you to my playlist of my SPFBO or SPFBO self-published fantasy blog off. It's got a lot of names, but I'm going to link you to the playlist. It's going to have my predictions and the introduction to this video series, and then my first vlog for this. It's round 2. We're going to be reading the next 2 books. We're going to let the Mug of Chaos decide which books we're going to do. Technically, as I'm filming this, I'm still in the middle of filming the first vlog, but I need to know if I need to buy any of the books or if I already have them. So that's why we're doing this early. If you are new here, you're stumbling onto this video, I am going to be reading all of the 10 books in the SPFBO Finalist, which is a blog off that's created by Mark Lawrence, and it's basically the best self-published fantasy books of the year. We have until like March to read all of these. We are doing SPFBO Cassidy's version. Essentially what it is like 10 different blogs are doing this official thing, and we've decided that we are going to read the finalists to see if they're right, see if our favorite one like collectively is different than their favorite one collectively. It's gonna be a really interesting experiment, and I'm very grateful that Cassidy asked me to do this because I'm not necessarily an epic fantasy girly. I'm trying to be though. 2023 is going to be that year. That being said, here's the scores for the first 2 books that I've read. We're going to kind of do a list ranking and figure out like basically what my favorite book is and then how that fits in collectively with everyone else's. With all that being said, let's go ahead and pick our next 2 books from the Mug of Chaos. I have some high expectations for these. Well, for some of them. I'm very excited for some of them. I've put a couple on my January TBR, so I'm really hoping that the Mug of Chaos will listen. That would be fantastic. Okay, and the first one is going to be Small Miracles. This is my #1 pick. In my predictions, I predicted that this was going to be my favorite book of this whole entire experiment. This has Good Omens vibes. It's very funny. It's very witty. It is about this demon who tries to get a human to sin just do some little sins so that way he can pay off his debt or something like that. So very excited about this one. That's going to be the first one that we read, and then hoping for another good one. This is exciting. Okay, well, this is not the one that I wanted, but that's okay. A Song Over the Void by Andrew C. Piazza. This is a cosmic horror. It's very historical in nature. It is about this pirate crew that like kind of comes upon like some sort of paranormal thing in the water. I had high hopes for this one. This one is #7 on my list of predictions, but since then I've seen a couple of vlogs where people have read this book and have not loved it. We will see. Hopefully we can work this out. Fortunately, I don't have to buy any books because I already have both of those. So with that being said, let's get into the vlog portion of this video. Hello. The lighting is really bad in here because it's mood lighting, I guess. I only have my lamp on. It's yellow. We're gonna get over it. I am 200 pages into A Song for the Void, and here's the thing. I've been avoiding this book for months and months and months. I had originally had it kind of high up in my predictions. I think it was like maybe 6 or 7, because the idea of cosmic horror kind of was intriguing. I like the idea of pirates, you know, that kind of stuff. And then reviews started coming out for it, and they sucked. They were bad. So I've just been avoiding this book. And here's the thing. I don't hate this book. The writing is strong, but I'm confused as to where the fantasy is, because this is a fantasy blog competition, and like this is not this is historical fiction with a little bit of horror thrown in, but like it's not fantasy. There's not a lot of fantastical elements. It takes place in our world. There's a lot of historical elements to it. There's a lot of conversations about what's going on in that area of the world in the 1800s. It's very historically accurate, and there's not any like fantastical elements to it yet.
like, I'm struggling with this book because it's like, I don't hate it. And like on a personal enjoyment scale, I think right now it's like at a 3-star. So like, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but like, it's not terrible. But in terms of what this competition is, in terms of what this, this thing that we're doing is, like, it's not a fantasy book. So why is it doing so well? And why did it make it to the finals? I don't know. So that's where I'm struggling. I don't know where to go from here. Like I said, I'm, well over halfway through. I would really love to be able to finish it tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes. Like I said, it's reading very quickly. Even though I'm having to physically read it, I don't have an audiobook or anything like that. Although I think if I had an audiobook for it, I would actually kind of lose myself. Like, I would get lost a little bit, wouldn't pay as much attention. So like, I'm glad I'm having to read it physically. The one thing I'm not a fan of is the fact that like the opium is such a heavy part of a lot of the different characters and how they interact and what their, what their motivations are, I guess, to be honest. It's kind of giving thriller with an unreliable narrator because she's a drunk kind of vibes, and how like he's like, okay, well, I'm hallucinating because I took too many drugs. Like, at least he's self-aware, let's be honest. I don't know, I'm just not loving that part of it, but overall it's not terrible. It's just not a fantasy, and that's where I'm struggling. So I'll check back with you tomorrow. I finished A Song for the Void and I hated it. This is my lowest ranking of any of the books, and I thought I hated Fire of the Forebears. So my predictions are now incorrect. It's fine. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the breakdown, and then we will look at the entire ranking of my books. So if you remember from the first episode, we have a breakdown of them. I'm not going to go into every little detail about what everything means, but check out my first video. I just don't want this to be redundant. For the characters, I gave them a 4, which is essentially a 2-star read. Like, we gave them 2 stars for characters. I didn't like any of the characters. I think some of them like were funny at parts. They had some interesting moments. They had a little bit of backstory, but like not enough. It was all very surface level in this book, and they didn't have a lot of like driving force, a lot of motivation. I didn't care about them. The plot, I gave a 3.5. And I'm actually like taking a lot of points off just because I don't think this is a fantasy. I think that this is a horror, historical. It's a historical fiction with a little bit of horror in it. There's not a lot of fantasy in this. And so for this to be a finalist in a fantasy competition, I'm really confused. And so is everyone else that's doing SPFBO Cassidy's version. That's really where I took a lot of the points off, was just because I don't think it's a fantasy to begin with. So I don't know, I don't want to like give it points for plot when the plot is not a fantasy, right? In my own personal rating system, I'll probably give this a little bit higher of a score than the, 3.5 is a 1.5 or 1.75. So I'll give it a little bit higher of a score when I go to do my personal rating system, because that's not genre specific. But where I took off a lot of points was for the plot, because it's not a fantasy. World building, I gave a 4 to as well. I felt like there was like, we had a lot of descriptions of like the boat that they were on, but we never really got a lot of descriptions about even what like this horror, like this entity was, that they were like all afraid of. I was not scared, to be honest. And so I felt like a lot of the times we were like repeating things, and I think that kind of lent to like not being scared of things. For the writing, I did give it a 7. I do think that it was written very well. I do think that the prose was well done. I think that it was very easy to read. It was like, once I got into this, I definitely read a lot of it all at once. It was a very fast read. And the writing style I actually enjoyed. I just wish we would have done a little bit more work into the character work, and then also just, made it more fantasy. This probably would have done really well in a horror at like SPFBO type competition, or if we would have just made this a little bit more fantastical. Added dragons. I don't know. Maybe if we added dragons, it would have been better. Last thing, my enjoyment was a 4.5. So between a 2 and 2.5 star rating, which I feel like is pretty much on par. That's probably where it will round out as far as my like personal rating system. So on my enjoyment, that's usually how I try to track that. Like I didn't hate every moment of this book, but I also didn't love it either. If that makes any sense. So overall it is going to get a 4.6, so it's going to fall down into that last spot here. So with that being said, let's get into the next book. I am over here looking like a hot mess tonight, but I figured I would come and check in because I am 100 pages or so into Small Miracles by Olivia Atwater, and it's so good I've broken out the tabs. Part of that is because I am also reading this for Not Your Mom's Boozy Book Club. We decided to make this our group pick for January because a lot of people wanted to read it, and Cal and I both wanted to read it, and I needed to make life easier on myself. I am very much enjoying it. The humor is fantastic. There are footnotes in here. For some reason, I remember them saying that, but then I forgot that was a thing. It was like page 6 that I was like, oh no, we need tabs, because the footnote says, inspiring good deeds in others gains 1/2 of the value of the action so inspired. In this respect, particularly contagious good deeds can be compared to pyramid schemes. And that's hilarious. Just hilarious. So yeah, I'm having a good time with this. Do I know exactly what's going on all of the time? No. But I don't think you're meant to. I don't think that you're like, it's not like really trying to do anything deep or meaningful. It's just supposed to have this like humor to it. This is a book about a angel of petty temptations, basically just trying to get this human to sin. Not like big sins, just like little ones. And every time she does a little sin, then she actually does like a good value to increase her sin metric. So basically you have a sin metric, and for everything you do that's not great, you get points. And then when you do good things, the points go backwards, essentially. And she's a fantastic person. Although, logically speaking, she's a barista and is a great person. And I don't know how you can be a great person when you have to deal with the Karens of the world at a coffee shop. I don't know how that works. So really, she should get bonus points. But anyways, I'm going to go back to reading this. I'm on sprints right now, and I'll talk to you later.
Hello, we're back, and it's been chaos. It's also been a very long time since the first time that I pulled a book from my mug. My 2 books that I picked from my mug were Small Miracles and A Song for the Void, which I've read at this point. But somehow the footage for me reading Small Miracles is gone. I don't know if it's deleted. I don't know if it got corrupted. I don't know. It's not there. It doesn't exist anymore, and I'm very sad about that because it could be the best book that I've read all year. I've got a tattoo designed for this that is like the cover plus the last line of the book, and I love that book, and I'm really sad that I can't give you my live expressions of it. And like, I could have faked it. I could have just been like, gone back and like acted like I was still reading it, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to pick another book, and we're just going to have 3 books in this. Okay, so let's talk about my scoring for Small Miracles, and then we'll move on and we'll pick another book, and we'll just have 3 books in this vlog. On characters, I gave it a 9.5. I thought it was near perfection. Gadriel is one of my favorite characters that I've read from like ever. They're sarcastic. It's a perfect expression of gender fluidity. And it's a wonderful social commentary without shoving it in your face, which I loved. The plot, I gave an 8. I actually wanted more from the plot. I mean, I think it was fantastic. I think what we had was great. I wanted more of it. I wanted that book to be a little bit longer than it was. The world building, I gave a 9. I thought the little tidbits about like what was a, what was a sin and what you lost points for, I thought that was wonderful. I thought it was fantastic. The writing gets a 10. The writing gets a 10. It's perfect. There are footnotes. There are snarky, sarcastic footnotes. That just made me happy. And like I said, I have designed a tattoo with a line from this book. So I loved the writing. And then my overall enjoyment was a 9.5. It was wonderful. So that rounded it out to a 9.2, which is definitely the highest I've given one of these books. So it's obviously sitting at the top of the list, which is where I predicted it to be. So that's good, I guess, for my predictions. But it is the highest that anyone gave this book. So I think I might have thrown the average a little bit. Oops, sorry, my bad, apologize. But with that said, let's pick another book, and then that way this vlog can be a little bit longer than me just not loving one of the books. Also in the past, I've called this the Mug of Chaos. However, I was absolutely missing the most wonderful name in the Mug of Madness. So, henceforth, this is the Mug of Madness. Okay, there's only one on here I don't want, and I hope it's not this. Okay. Ooh, Mysterious Ways. Awesome. This is one that is predicted to be my second pick. It's also not super long, so that's fantastic. So we'll get reading that. Apparently the only good lighting in this entire hotel is the bathroom. So we're just going to do it here. But I'm 41% of the way through Mysterious Ways. And I'm not hating the book, but I'm not necessarily loving it either. It's just like, it's fine. The book is fine. It's a book that I read and it exists. Nope, I said that backwards. It's a book that exists and I read it. I'm a little bit tipsy right now. I have a super late start tomorrow for work because it's gonna, like, I don't land until 10:30 at night. So I'm like, well, I'm sleeping in the morning and, you know, not starting work early. So I bought a bottle of wine and I've drank most of it. But I'm about 41% of the way through and it's fine. There are parts, like there are moments of brilliance in this book. And I think that there are times where I'm like, yes, this is what I want in a sapphic fantasy romance. And then there are times that I'm like, that was lazy, and you know it. There's like sentences where it's like, and then they continued on. Where did they go? What did they do? Why are they doing it? It's like, it's very much a journey book, and we know how much I don't love those. It's fine. It's a book that exists. But I want to know more about this world. There are like demons in this world. There are like, the magic system seems really intricate, but the book feels like a first draft. It feels like we've have this like bare bones part of the story that then like needed to come back and like add to and flesh out. So unfortunately, like it's sitting in the middle of the road right now for me. But I'm hoping I can finish it tonight, if not tomorrow, so that way I can like be halfway done. If I can get this book done, I'm halfway done with the SPFBO books. So wish me luck. I am here to talk to you about Mysterious Ways and to close out this vlog because I'm halfway done with my SPFBO. Don't know how we're going to go from here on out. If we're going to just, I think we'll probably just do 2 more videos, 1 with 2, 1 with 3. It's fine. But I finished Mysterious Ways and personally I'm giving this a 3-star. I think that it was fine. I think it did a lot of things really well, but then I just wanted a lot more from the book. There is an really interesting world building system in this book that we didn't explore. There are these different types of demons. There's like fear demon and a spirit demon and like all of these different things that I wanted to know like how they interacted with the world and the different people that were in our story. And we just never like really explored what the difference between the demons were or anything like that. So unfortunately, I was disappointed. I was let down a little bit. And there was a lot of like time jumping. I talked about this a little bit before, but it was just like, and they continued on and they walked on and like, then you just like kind of jump. And so rather than like just saying, and they continued on, why didn't you just have a scene break and go to the next scene? But everything moved so quickly. And for such a short book, it felt just way too rushed. So unfortunately, I'm giving it a 3-star personally, but let's talk about the breakdown and talk about its score rating because it didn't actually do that poorly. So it was very just like middle of the road across the entire board. Let's talk about it. Characters I gave a 6. I did really enjoy parts of them. I wanted more from them. I wanted a little bit more development, but like you automatically, in my book, you get bonus points for being gay. Because it's a very matriarchal society and women are like, it's normal to have sapphic relationships and things like that. I loved that world. One of my favorite things in books, whether it's contemporary or fantastical, science fiction, whatever, is when queer relationships are just normal. We don't have to be like, oh my gosh, wow, amazing, diversity. It's just like, it feels natural because that's obviously like the utopia that we aspire to one day, is that we don't have to be like, that's different, that's unique, that's cool, because it should just be a natural part of society, right? So I gave it a 6. The plot, I gave it a 5. Like I said, we needed more. We needed a little bit more fleshing out. This really felt like a zero draft. It felt like a skeleton draft of a book. We had a lot of good points in place. We had a lot of like bullet points, but we just didn't expand on anything, and that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that. Same with the world building. I gave it a 5.5. We talked about this. I wanted to know more about the magic system, about the demons and the things like that were in there. I really loved when we went into the underworld, and like I felt like that was really well explained, but then nothing else was. So like that middle chunk was great, but on the front end and the back end, I just wanted a little bit more fleshing out. So same thing, writing, 5.5. Again, it kind of all like meshes together and blends together. Like I said, bullet points. We have great bullet points. We have great bones on this book. It needed more though. And so then for my enjoyment, I just gave it a 5. So for overall, the score is a 5.4, which is between a 2.5 and a 3-star, which feels pretty good. Like I said, I rounded it up to 3 on my personal rating scale, but that does mean that this will fall into the 3rd place spot. So it's definitely not passing Small Miracles, and it's not going to be passing Scales and Sensibility either. So unfortunately, my rating system again is going to be a little bit wrong. My predictions were wrong because I had this one in my 2nd spot. I was really hoping that because it was queer and it was kind of more of a fantasy romance that I would really get along with this. And I think that had it gone through another round of developmental edits, I think it could have been a fantastic book. I really wanted to love this book. I really, really did. And it needed more. So unfortunately, it was a miss. But anyway, that's 5 books down. We are halfway done, and I'm going to wrap up this vlog. So stay tuned. We will do another one of these in a couple of weeks. I've already started my next ones. Talk to me down in the comments below if you have any thoughts or feelings about any of these books, if you've read any of them, if you got to read Small Miracles with us during the Boozy Book Club. And if you are not feeling chatty, you can put a sword emoji. That makes sense, right? We'll do a sword emoji today. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button, then you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.